The invasion came without warning. One moment, life on Earth was business as usual. The next, the sky was filled with alien ships, blocking out the sun and casting a shadow of fear over the entire planet. Amidst the chaos, ordinary people were thrust into extraordinary circumstances. Sarah, a high school teacher from New York, found herself shielding her students as the school shook with the force of the attack. Across the world in Tokyo, Kenji, a software developer, watched in horror as his office building crumbled, the alien onslaught relentless and unforgiving. As cities around the globe fell, a message was broadcast on every device. Humanity, you are not alone. Join us if you seek to fight back. It was from the Guardians, a secret organization that had been preparing for this moment for decades. Sarah, Kenji, and others like them were soon contacted by the Guardians. They learned that each of them possessed unique abilities, awakened by the alien presence. Sarah could generate powerful energy shields, while Kenji could interface with any technology, manipulating it to his will. Brought to a hidden base deep within the Rockies, they met the leaders of the Guardians. Dr. Elena Martinez, a former NASA scientist, and General Marcus Kane, a decorated military strategist, explained the situation. "We've known about the possibility of this invasion for years," Dr. Martinez said, "but we never expected it to come so soon or so fiercely." General Kane addressed the new recruits. "You are now part of Earth's last line of defense. Your abilities are our best hope of survival. Training starts now." The days that followed were grueling. The recruits, now known as the New Guardians, were pushed to their limits, both physically and mentally. Sarah struggled with the responsibility of her new role, haunted by the faces of her students. Kenji, on the other hand, embraced the challenge, eager to learn more about his powers. Despite the hardships, bonds began to form. Sarah and Kenji found themselves relying on each other, their strengths complementing the other's weaknesses. The other recruits, too, became more than just allies. They became friends, united by a common cause. One night, as they gathered around a fire, Dr. Martinez shared more about the aliens. "They're called the Vraks," she said, her voice somber. "Their technology is far beyond ours, but they have one weakness. They underestimate us." The Guardians knew the path ahead was fraught with danger, but they also knew they couldn't back down. The fate of the world depended on them. Training was brutal. The New Guardians were pushed beyond their limits daily, their bodies and minds tested in ways they had never imagined. Sarah found herself constantly on edge, struggling to balance the memories of her past life with the responsibilities of her new role. Kenji, ever the optimist, tried to lighten the mood with jokes and encouraging words, but even he couldn't hide the toll the training was taking on him. "Keep your guard up, Sarah," General Kane barked during a sparring session. "Your energy shield is your greatest asset. Use it!" Sarah nodded, sweat pouring down her face as she summoned her shield just in time to block a heavy blow from her training partner. She glanced over at Kenji, who was deep in concentration, manipulating a complex array of drones with his mind. "Nice work, Kenji," Dr. Martinez called out. "But remember, the Vraks won't give you time to think. You need to be faster." Despite the exhaustion and frustration, the Guardians began to see progress. Their powers became more refined, their teamwork more seamless. They learned to trust each other implicitly, knowing that their survival depended on their unity. One evening, as they gathered in the mess hall, Sarah looked around at her teammates. There was Max, a former firefighter who could control fire, Annika, a doctor who had developed extraordinary healing abilities, and Leo, a mechanic with superhuman strength. Each of them had been ordinary people before the invasion, but now they were something much more. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" Sarah said, her voice filled with a mix of awe and fear. "We're actually going to fight them." Kenji nodded, his usual smile replaced by a look of determination. "We have to. There's no other choice." Dr. Martinez entered the room, her expression grave. "We've intercepted a transmission from the Vraks," she announced. "They're planning a major attack on a civilian center. We need to act fast." General Kane stood beside her, his face set in a grim mask. "This is what we've been training for. We move out at dawn." The Guardians spent the night preparing for their first mission. There was little sleep to be had as they checked and rechecked their equipment, went over strategies, and tried to steel themselves for what was to come. As dawn broke, they gathered in the briefing room. A holographic map displayed the target, a densely populated city center. The Vraks had already begun their assault, and time was running out. "Stick to the plan," General Kane instructed. "Remember your training, trust your instincts, and watch each other's backs. We're all in this together." With a final nod of encouragement, the Guardians boarded their transport and set off towards the city. The sight that greeted them upon arrival was one of utter devastation. Buildings lay in ruins, fires raged unchecked, and the air was filled with the sounds of panic and destruction. "Guardians, move out!" General Kane's voice crackled over their comms. "Let's show these aliens what humanity is made of." Sarah summoned her energy shield, protecting a group of civilians from falling debris. Kenji hacked into the city's defense systems, turning them against the Vraks. Max and Annika worked in tandem, using their powers to control the fires and heal the injured, while Leo used his immense strength to clear paths and rescue those trapped. For the first time since the invasion began, the Vraks found themselves on the defensive. The Guardians fought with a ferocity born of desperation and hope, pushing the alien invaders back inch by inch. As the battle raged on, Sarah found herself facing a Vraks commander. The alien was twice her size, its eyes glowing with malice. "You cannot win," it hissed, its voice a guttural growl. "Your world will fall." Sarah's grip tightened on her energy shield. "Not today," she replied, charging forward with a defiant roar. The Guardians returned to their base victorious but weary. The battle had taken a toll on them all, but they had managed to save countless lives and deal a significant blow to the Vraks' forces. Sarah nursed a bruised shoulder, a reminder of her encounter with the Vraks commander. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. As they debriefed, Dr. Martinez and General Kane reviewed the battle footage. "You all did exceptionally well," Dr. Martinez said, her pride evident. "But we need to be prepared for the Vraks to retaliate. They won't take this defeat lightly." General Kane's expression was more troubled. "We intercepted another transmission during the battle. The Vraks are planning something big, but we don't have the details yet." Kenji, always curious, asked, "What do we know about the Vraks? Why are they here, and why now?" Dr. Martinez took a deep breath. "It's time you all knew the full story. The Vraks' invasion wasn't as sudden as it seemed. We've known about their existence for decades. Our research indicated that they've been monitoring Earth for centuries, waiting for the right moment to strike." "Why didn't you tell us this before?" Leo demanded, his voice full of anger. "Because we didn't have all the pieces," General Kane replied. "Until now. Our latest intel suggests that the Vraks have been manipulating human history, influencing key events to weaken us and prepare for their invasion." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of events?" Dr. Martinez pulled up a series of holographic images showing historical events: wars, plagues, economic collapses. "All of these were influenced by the Vraks in some way. They've been destabilizing us from within, making sure we're too divided and weakened to put up a unified defense." The room fell silent as the weight of this revelation sank in. The Guardians had been fighting an enemy far more insidious than they had realized. "What's their end game?" Max asked quietly. "To conquer and colonize Earth," Dr. Martinez said. "They see our planet as a valuable resource, and they view humanity as an obstacle to be removed." General Kane leaned forward. "But there's more. Our sources indicate there's a traitor among us." The shock was palpable. "A traitor? Here?" Annika asked, her voice barely a whisper. Yes, Dr. Martinez confirmed. Someone who's been feeding the Vrax information, compromising our operations. We need to find out who it is before it's too late. Tension ran high as suspicion fell upon each member of the team. Trust, once solid, began to waver. Sarah found herself questioning everything and everyone. Who among them could be a traitor? And how long had they been working with the enemy? Kenji, ever the tech wizard, took it upon himself to investigate. He spent hours combing through data logs, communication records, and security footage. The Guardians continued their training, but a cloud of distrust hung over them. One night, as Kenji pored over his findings, Sarah approached him. Any luck? Kenji shook his head. Nothing concrete yet, but I have a hunch. There's something odd about the way the Vrax have been one step ahead of us. It's almost like they know our strategies before we do. Just then, an alarm blared through the base. Intruder alert! All personnel to their stations! General Kane's voice echoed through the corridors. The Guardians sprang into action, but as they reached the control room, they found Dr. Martinez, unconscious on the floor. A figure stood over her, clutching a device that pulsed with alien energy. "It's you!" Sarah gasped, recognizing the traitor. The traitor smirked. "You should have stayed out of this, Sarah. Now it's too late." With a burst of speed, the traitor activated the device, sending a wave of energy through the base. Systems went haywire, and the lights flickered. "Guardians, we need to take them down," General Kane shouted. The battle within the base was fierce. The traitor, empowered by Vrax technology, fought with ruthless efficiency. But the Guardians, fueled by anger and betrayal, refused to back down. In the end, it was Kenji who managed to disable the traitor's device, allowing Sarah to land a decisive blow. The traitor collapsed, and the base system slowly returned to normal. As they secured the traitor, General Kane looked at the Guardians. "We've been compromised, but we're not defeated. We'll get the answers we need, and we'll prepare for whatever the Vrax throw at us next." Dr. Martinez, regaining consciousness, added, "The Vrax think they can break us, but they've underestimated our resilience. We're not just fighting for survival, we're fighting for our future." The Guardians regrouped, their resolve stronger than ever. The traitor had been a blow to their trust, but it also brought them closer together. They were now united by a common goal: to defeat the Vrax and protect Earth. General Kane and Dr. Martinez intensified their efforts to decipher the Vrax's plans. The traitor, now imprisoned, revealed critical information under interrogation. The Vrax were planning a final, all-out assault on Earth's largest cities, aiming to crush humanity's last lines of defense in one swift strike. "We have to hit them before they hit us," General Kane said during a strategy meeting. "We need to take the fight to them." Dr. Martinez nodded. "Our best chance is to target their command ship. If we can disable their central command, we can disrupt their entire operation." The Guardians prepared for what would be their most dangerous mission yet. They would infiltrate the Vrax command ship, destroy its core, and cripple the alien invasion force. It was a plan fraught with risks, but they had no other choice. On the day of the mission, the Guardians boarded their ship, a sense of grim determination settling over them. Sarah took a deep breath, glancing at her teammates. Kenji, Max, Annika, and Leo were ready. They had come a long way from being ordinary civilians. Now they were Earth's last hope. As they approached the Vrax command ship, the enormity of their task became clear. The alien vessel was a massive, fortress-like structure, bristling with advanced weaponry. But the Guardians were undeterred. "We've got this," Kenji said, his voice steady. "Let's show them what humanity can do." The Guardians breached the ship's defenses, fighting their way through waves of Vrax soldiers. Each of them used their abilities to maximum effect, their teamwork honed to perfection. Sarah's energy shields protected them from the worst of the enemy fire, while Kenji hacked into the ship's systems, creating pathways and disabling traps. As they neared the ship's core, the resistance grew fiercer. The Vraks were determined to protect their command center, throwing everything they had at the Guardians. But the team pressed on, driven by the knowledge that failure was not an option. Finally, they reached the core. It was a pulsating, alien construct, guarded by the Vraks commander Sarah had faced before. The alien's eyes glowed with a mixture of hatred and fear. "You cannot win," the commander snarled. "Your planet will fall." Sarah stepped forward, her energy shield glowing brightly. "We're not just fighting for our planet, we're fighting for our future." The battle was intense, the commander wielding powerful energy attacks, but the Guardians fought with unparalleled determination. Max unleashed a torrent of fire, while Annika used her healing abilities to keep her teammates in the fight. Leo's strength was crucial in holding the line, and Kenji's technological prowess turned the ship's own systems against the Vraks. In the end, it was Sarah who landed the final blow, her energy shield shattering the commander's defenses. The alien fell, and the Guardians moved quickly to destroy the core. With a series of precise attacks, they overloaded the core, setting off a chain reaction. The ship began to collapse, alarms blaring throughout the vessel. "We need to get out of here!" General Kane's voice crackled over the comms. The Guardians raced back to their ship, the Vraks command ship disintegrating around them. They made it out just in time, watching as the alien vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Back on Earth, the impact was immediate. The Vraks forces, now leaderless and disorganized, faltered. Humanity seized the opportunity, launching a coordinated counterattack. The tide of the war turned, and the Vraks were driven back. In the days that followed, the world began to rebuild. The Guardians were hailed as heroes, their story inspiring people around the globe. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity could stand united and strong. Dr. Martinez addressed the Guardians in a final debriefing. "You've shown the world what it means to be Guardians. This victory isn't just ours. It belongs to everyone who fought, everyone who believed." General Kane added, "The Vraks will think twice before underestimating us again. We've shown them that Earth is not a planet to be trifled with." Sarah looked at her teammates, a sense of pride and gratitude filling her heart. They had faced the worst together and emerged stronger. The future was uncertain, but they were ready for whatever came next. "Guardians," she said, raising her hand, "to Earth's future." Her teammates joined in, their hands coming together in a symbol of unity and strength. The fight was far from over, but they knew that as long as they stood together, there was nothing they could